views and opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold.
Welcome everyone to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. I'm your host, Dave from LA, coming to you live from FEMA Region number 6. Today is June the 22nd, 2017. It is a Thursday. We have a live show for you today. Looking forward to it all. And if you'd like to get in on the conversation at any time during the show, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. Then hit star. We'll see you in queue, and we'll definitely bring you up so you can have your question or comment made known. So definitely engage in that. We'd love to hear from you all at any time during the show. And I want to just say I truly appreciate you all for listening to Thando Radio Show and being a part of it. And we want to make sure that Thando Radio Show is here in the future. So if you all would go to Thando Radio Show on Black Talk Radio Network. Go to Black Talk Radio Network's website, and that's www.blacktalkradionetwork.com, and check out the homepage for this network. And on that homepage, you'll be able to see the icon for the donations. Just hit that, and it will lead you into where you can sponsor and support this network so that it can continue to be on air. Very, very important. Also, another way that you can support this network is by being a part of this social media platform or network known as BTR Community, Black Talk Radio Community. And it's a social media network that has been put together by Black Talk Radio Network so you can engage in all of your social media activities without being adversely affected, data mined, and your identity stolen and sold to whomever makes a bid. And so you could easily do that by going over to BTR Community for only $24 a year, and that will get you a year's membership to where you can post 365 days a year on the network and engage in your social media activities. Very, very important. And I love it because, I like it because it's much better than the other platforms. I don't have to worry about a bunch of things. I'm not on the other platforms because this is the only place that I post. No need to be at the other places. Don't even like dealing with those overall networks. So they are there to do you harm, never good. Make you comfortable, put you to sleep, rock you bye-bye, yes, but give you any form of sustainable life that the great creator has or prosperity that the great creator has? No, not at all. So come on over to BTR Community, be part of that network, and you can promote yourself, your business, or some other business that you think needs exposure or events that you think needs more public attention. Come on over to BTR Community and engage in that. So also, if you would like to acquire real money, you could do that by going to Prosperity Mint, PROSPERITY mint.com, Prosperity Mint. And you can save as a lady and a gentleman in silver or as a king and a queen in gold. And this is where you can acquire real assets that the great creator put here in the universe to sustain life instead of man's creation of a piece of paper that has no real relative intrinsic value at all. You could do that by going there, check out what's in inventory. Then what you would do is you would email info@prosperitymint.com, info@prosperitymint.com, and someone will get in contact with you to make sure that you are buying correctly and you just know the overall buying process. Also, the Control Your Wealth seminar is coming July the 1st, 2017, a couple of days away from now, in Dallas at 1515 Young Street in downtown Dallas at the Dallas Central Library. Come on down to Dallas and be part of that. It's $300 for single tickets, $550 for couples. The Control Your Wealth seminar is going to be going on from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Very, very well worth it. It's going to be sponsored by Prosperity Mint. I will be there, be giving a lot of great information for you all. It will be introduction, a 1-hour introduction as to what some of the things that's going on that I don't talk about on air at all. Then also you will be given a presentation by Legacy Wealth Management on trust and foundations, why that's so important and how you can engage in that and why you should. Very, very smart, probably one of the smartest and frugal things that you could do. Also, you will get a hour of the precious metals class. And also, we will have a debriefing of, we'll have the debriefing from the overall day, and not only that, there will be other opportunities that you can engage in to increase, to have other streams of revenue for yourself and your family. That is very, very important, and to leverage things appropriately going forward. So all of that will be there, and that's why you should come to Dallas and be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to it. If you're not able to make it to Dallas, you can also just engage in it via the internet, and all you have to do if you want to do that is $300, and what you would do is just email Prosperity Mint at info@prosperitymint.com, info@prosperitymint.com. That's it, info@prosperitymint.com. And just info saying that you want to be a part of the online seminar, and you can make payment by way of PayPal, by way of a credit card. You can do a credit card as well if you want to do it, credit card, debit card. All forms of payment is accepted, and you'll be able to do it that way. So make sure you email info@prosperitymint.com if you would like to do that. Also, if you are into the cryptocurrencies, which I think that you should, one of the things that you should own is some cryptocurrency, and you could do that and trade with us. And I gave our trading platform, some of the people that was on our trading platform, crazy good information yesterday, and I hope my man knows who the HH jumped on it today. Just some of the things that, it's amazing, and the overall opportunities. And I actually use this to supplement and to acquire the things that I need. Doing very, very well. So if you would like to engage in that trading and be a part of that group with us, and we're going to actually actively start trading on Monday, then you could do that by going to ourcryptocurrency.com, ourcryptocurrency.com, and it will lead you to a page and with the Tradecoin Club. Sign up there, and then once you sign up, I will send you the information how to set up your account. Then you want to get your accounts verified at different places, so you'll be ready to go and ready to roll. So definitely looking forward. And for those of you that have already signed up there, please go ahead, finish your process and get your verification so you can start getting in on this. There's some great stuff happening, and the advantages are sick. Yesterday I gave some dollar figures as to how much I actually walked away from purposely just crazy, so much more. So come on, get in on it. It works for while it still works, and use it to your advantage. You can get in as little as starting off as $200. So it's very, very, and this is only going to continue to do really, really well, and because it's a part of the plan, but you can use it to your advantage. Definitely, you should be using it to your advantage, just like cash. Okay, so let's jump into what's in the news. But before we do that, tomorrow after Thando Radio Show, 30 minutes after Thando Radio Show. No, excuse me. Actually, 10 minutes after Thando Radio Show tomorrow, we're going to have, for those of you that are trading with us, we will have a conference call tomorrow to set ourselves up over the weekend and for Monday's trading starting. So definitely, if you have signed up for ourcryptocurrency.com, then you are more than welcome to jump in on that. You should be there, and then finish out your verification and your administrative requirements so that you can start trading and gaining this, getting what it is that you want to acquire. So tomorrow, 10 minutes after Thando Radio Show, we'll jump in on it. All right, so let's jump into what's in the news. What's in the news? First article we're going to start with. Well, before we do that, let's go with today's show. Today's show is, the topic of today's show is the remix. In a major global conflict, could the United States lose it all? My opinion, yes, it's going to happen. And how this could happen. So that's today's show, is a remix. And part of this is we're going to be carrying forward because there's a lot to this, and we're going to have to be able to dissect this piece by piece, place by place, because there's so many different parts and things of that nature. So we're going to be doing that with you all today. So if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025, and we'll see you there. Okay, so let me jump into what's in the news. 1 second. Make sure. 1 second. Okay. Let's get rolling. Okay, first article from what's in the news. I got this one from Business Insider. Venezuela condemns U.S.-led efforts to resolve crisis. Dares Washington to send in the Marines. This is crazy. Cancun, Mexico. This is one of the reporting for Business Insider. One of their hubs is out of Cancun, Mexico. Venezuela scoffs at the U.S. Tuesday for trying to forge a regional plan to address its raging crisis, saying the only way to make it comply was to send in the Marines. And Venezuela says, we wish you would overstep your bounds by sending in the Marines into Venezuela. And let me just say this, this goes in part and partial to today's show as well. If the U.S. sent in the Marines into Venezuela, they would get mopped up. The Marines would. They would thoroughly get their hat handed to them like never, ever before. Doesn't matter. Yes, you were able to do things in Fallujah. It was difficult in Fallujah, but what you would be contending with in Venezuela would be far, far worse. And the Marines would get their hat handed to them. Here is a fundamental battle truth that could never, ever be overstepped. Don't care how much nuclear weapons you have or anything else. This fundamental, basic battle rule can never, ever be broken or overstepped. There is military organizations could never beat the people. This is why you won't see that type of thing engaging. But sometimes people get arrogant, and not only that, they do it for different reasons to set different scenarios up. There is no military on this planet that can ever go against the people. And what do I mean by that? If they sent a whole Marine Corps into Venezuela as an occupying force to stop the overall economic crisis in Venezuela, the Marines would get mopped up, because there is no standing army, no military unit could ever beat the people. You won't win. And the only thing that the military could ever do is go up against other military units, but by doing that, they could destroy the people inadvertently and under disguise. That's how they destroy the people. But actually going up against the people by way of, occupation or invasion, you won't. It never has, and it never will work. Never will work. On this scale, at these levels, with these variables, for these reasons, that's a classic. You sending up a military organization against the people. You're sending them to slaughter. And that's exactly what will happen to them. Because there will not be one place that they could rest. There will be no place that they could actually position themselves to engage anything. There would be nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So that's why the overall response from Venezuela, and once again, they dared Washington to send in your Marines. Really quickly, let me pull this up real quick. And this is very dangerous for what's going on. But I'm going to come back to this one. But I'm going to continue with what's in the news for today. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025. 866-510-9025. We'll see you in queue, and we'll definitely bring you up. Okay, so let's keep going, because I don't want to get too bogged down. I want to get some of this stuff out. But we'll come back to this Venezuela story. We'll jump into that. And I should have never, ever went off that page. All right, so sorry. As you all know, the internet here is super slow. Man, really, really bad. So, okay, here we go. Got it back up. Next article, I got this one from lifenews.com. Oregon, Senate Bill 494 would allow starving mentally ill patients to death. In Oregon, the Senate is debating a deceptive bill, SB, State Bill 494, that appears to simply replace the current advanced directive legislations, but in fact, it promotes the withholding or withdrawal of nutrition and hydration, food and water from people who are incompetent and not dying. Basically, people with Alzheimer's, people with mental illness. Oregon was debating a state bill 494 that would allow them to starve that individual, that mentally ill individual, or that person with dementia, to death. Next article. This article comes from Alex Shansberg. Oregon's dehydration bill, SB 49, passes in Oregon Senate. SB 494 passed the Senate. Next article from Life News as well. Oregon House kills the bill to allow starving mentally ill patients to death. So the House in Oregon killed the bill. The Oregon State House has killed legislation that pro-life groups strenuously oppose because it would put mentally ill patients at risk, taunting as a simple as a simple update to Oregon's current advanced directives. The bill is designed to allow for starving and dehydration to death of patients with dementia or mental illness. What in the world are we doing? This is more than insane, but it's not surprising. This is what's happening and where things are going to continue to go. Next article, they're going to extend that not to just mentally ill people. They're going to extend that to anyone that they feel is a threat, national security and all those other things. This is which they would do anyhow. So nothing new, but, hey, we see where we need to, why the urgency for why we need to build something more sustainable and more cohesive to our overall way of living. So important. Next article from Anti-Media. Ron Paul, Trump's new Cuba policy is nothing short of regime change. Check out that article. So true. Next article, I posted this one, and my man L.A. Ramon had posted this one later on in the day as well. But this one comes from Business Insider. Looks like the U.S. will start providing the Ukraine with arms to combat with Russia. This overall war is already here, and this is going to explode. Russia's not going to go along with this at all. Kiev, Ukraine president, said after meeting in Washington that Kiev and the United States would soon sign a number of agreements bolstering defense cooperation, news agencies Interfax, the Ukraine reported on Wednesday. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia has a preemptive attack on the United States at all. Not beyond measures of reality. None whatsoever. Because NATO and the U.S. is actively trying to surround Russia. And this is I always have to give this as a disclaimer. I do not think that there is anything different between the so-called celebrity figurehead government of the United States and the celebrity figurehead government of any other nation. They're all in one big fraternity against you and I, the regular, everyday people, the true people that maintain the overall energy of life on this planet from the human species. These people are subhuman or past being that. They are very demonstrous in it's just so many things. Demonic, however you want to put, that's really what they are. But I do not think that this is a play that gives plausible deniability for Russia and other countries to preemptively strike the U.S., which I do think is a very, very clear possibility, and we're going to go over some of that today. So check out that article. Next article. That's just like Russia arming. Wow, it's not like Russia arming anybody. Russia realized that they need to arm themselves against the U.S. But this is all a part of the agenda. So I was trying to make a point. I said, if you really think about it, is only the U.S. does this stuff. So next article. This one comes from. This was an Iraqi publication, Economic News, and I said you need to right-click this for English. Iraq plans to join AIIB, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. And I wrote my commentary was, ouch. That is huge. They're going to join China's AIIB. This is why we're having today's show, because this is what it's going to be leading to. And if you're not familiar with it, don't worry about it. We will be getting you familiar with that as much as you possibly can, so that you can protect yourself, have a real measure of protection because of what you do know. So check out that article. Next article comes from WND. Now U.S. government threatens to take all your cash in the name of fighting terrorism, financing that. And terrorism is nothing more than what they use to say that they want to impose their tyrannical, their means of tyranny and their overall destructive control over you. That is just the excuse to do what they really want to do. And that's exactly what they're using all of this for. State bill threatens to force private corporations to monitor your financial activities and empowers the government to seize your assets if you fail to comply with the new law. Even failure to fill out one form is a license for the federal government. Ridiculous. See how far this goes among those that have a decision to make, self-determination and sovereignty. Is sovereignty surrendered, or is sovereignty upheld as well as your self-determination? Next article. This one came from your Newswire, and I said, thanks, Kev. And this one was government buying, selling law. Oh, same one. It was the same one. Sorry about that, you all. Next article, very, very important article. It goes along with everything else. This one comes from Bloomberg. Germany warns U.S. against conceding lead role to China and Russia. Well, Germany is going towards China and Russia. Here it is. Germany's veteran finance minister urged the U.S. to limit Russia and China's influence or risk bringing about the end of our liberal world. The comments as a member of Angela Merkel's cabinet since she took office in 2005, one of the strongest expressions of concern among European policymakers that President Donald Trump is, move this down, administration, can't see the rest of it. So Germany is not happy with the U.S. at all. And they're basically going to be moving towards Russia and China. Got no choice. So that's going to be also a part of this series here. Next article, I got this one from Bloomberg. Australia tells the U.S. not to interfere in EU's energy. Germany and Austria tells the U.S. not to interfere in the EU's energy. Germany and Austria condemned a proposed expansion of U.S. sanctions on Russia, saying that the measure sought to bolster U.S. economy interests and include the unacceptable, inevitable intervention, in the region's energy sector. Europe's energy supply is a matter for Europe, not the United States or America. For foreign ministers of Austria and the Chancellor Christian Kern said in a joint statement. Ladies and gentlemen, as we just said earlier, Germany, Austria, France, all of those countries are going to be moving towards Russia and China because they have to. And just some news that I did see, but I wasn't able to verify as yet, there may have been where Russia has cut off gas to Poland and parts of the EU. And if that is the case, that is a part of this overall war that is going to be expanding, and that could be one of the preludes to a preemptive strike somewhere relatively soon. Next article from the South China Morning Post: U.S. and China vow to halt North Korea's missile threat. Check out that article. Next article comes from Sputnik News. White House reportedly seeks to weaken state bill on Russian sanctions. Boy, they have a field day with this stuff. New York Times reports that Republican Kevin Bradley filed a objection earlier this week that stopped the motion on its way through Congress and could cause it to be redrafted. According to the outline, the administrations of the U.S. president wanted to preclude the parliament from being able to block Donald Trump's attempt to lift or waiver these sanctions. Well, as Germany and Austria said, you better not sanction Russia, because if you do, we're going to leave and we're going to go over there with them. Done deal. So here we go. Next article, I got this one, very, very important article. Got this one from Russia Insider. BRICS, Syria's territorial integrity is not negotiable. This is what the BRIC nations said. Syria's territorial integrity is not negotiable. During a joint news conference, the BRIC nations, which makes up Brazil, Russia, India, and China, South Africa, foreign ministries in Beijing on Monday, the Russian foreign minister stressed that BRICS nations unanimously support Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Here's the question in full answer. So check out that article. What is this basically saying? That BRICS is ready to go to war with the U.S. and all of its NATO allies, which will start to unravel and join them. Lot going on. Next article comes from Russia Insider. Macron has just taken France out of the Assad must go camp. Only Nixon could go to China, and only Macron could have taken France out of the Assad must go camp without anyone batting an eyelash, and he has. And this is the newest foreign minister. Is he a foreign minister or president? It don't matter. Celebrity figurehead leader of France that recently won selection in their recent selections. And what did he do? He grandstanded celebrity figurehead Trump in the trip to Europe, and now he just slammed him. Like I said, Germany, France, Austria is going to be going towards, and other nations are going to be going towards Russia and China, and they're going to be leaving them. He just said, I'm out of this Assad must go stuff. Totally out of it. These are huge geopolitical events that are unfolding, and they're going to have adverse effect on everyone. Next article. My man L.A. Ramon posted that same article that I posted about from Business Insider. Looks like the U.S. will start providing Ukraine with weapons. In next article, L.A. Ramon posted this one. The USS Fitzgerald is built to take abuse. It's all about the tough U.S. military destroyer hit by a car. That's so true. Got hit with a daggone cargo, and that thing almost sunk. So, that's a lot of weight, and that's a lot of abuse. So check out that article. Next article, L.A. Ramon posted, the Missile Defense Agency wants a laser-equipped drone that would be a silver bullet for stopping North Korea. I saw that article. I was going to post it too. Good article there, L.A. Ramon. Next one from military.com. L.A. Ramon posted this one. And this one is military and veterans benefits. And I don't know with this one. Let me pull this up real quick, and then we're going to get into today's show. What is this one? This one is the L.A. Ramon. I don't know. Okay, Mattis Defense. Temporal flatlining of missile defense budget. Okay. So that was a real good article as well. Check out that article. And we have also L.A. Ramon posted this one. The celebrity figurehead Mattis, Secretary of Defense. We're not winning in Afghanistan. Well, let me rephrase that. You didn't win in Afghanistan. You didn't win in Iraq. You're not going to win in Iran. You're not going to win in Syria. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. You could just stop with the first 4 words. We are not winning, period, and just put everything else behind it. That is the overall direction. So check out those articles. And if you all notice, I'm trying to keep my voice because I'm actually losing it, and I can't lose it. I have to actually have a seminar this weekend. So So there's some great articles. Also, my man Rise posted this one from the Time. President, celebrity figurehead Trump says he doesn't want a poor person in the cabinet, in a cabinet role. Yeah, of course not. Amazing. Next article from Rise posted this from Cerebrally Naive Network. The Supreme Court of the United States narrowly grounds for revoking citizenships. The Supreme Court narrowed the grounds on which naturalized citizens can have their citizenship revoked. The case concerns a naturalized citizen who was deported after lying on their naturalization applications. Check out that article. Next article, this one's from Futurist. Raj posted this one. New evidence suggested that our solar system has 10 planets. Yes. Yes, many, probably even more. And not only that, our solar system is made up so different. We actually don't even go around the sun. We actually follow behind it. We're in trail of it. So there's a bunch of things that are there. So a bunch of great articles. It's just too many to get to, but let me see. There's a couple more. So Raz got some real good ones in here. Let me just jump to a couple of them. And Raz posted this one from Motley Fool. Marijuana and Bitcoin, a match made in crypto heaven, or a digital nightmare. Check out that article. And then Raz posted this one from National Health Zone. Australian scientist restores memory in Alzheimer's patients. Man, that's next article. Rise posted this one from Fortune. Cybersecurity: five of the world's most dangerous hack groups. And next one, Rise posted this one. Extra crispy. Got this one from the latest reasons why extra vinegar olive oil is good for you. Check out that one. Next one from Nothing But Crooks and News. Rise posted this one. 3 specific things that can help delay memory loss. Check out that. And so those are some of what's in the news. Didn't get to everything. It's just far too many. And I have got to conserve my voice. I'm actually losing it. So if you'd like to get in on the conversation, let me tell you, giving a 2-hour show by yourself is a lot. So sometimes, the voice gets worn out. So just bear with me, you all. Greatly appreciate you all. So if you'd like to get in on today's conversation at any time, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. So what I want to do is today's show is going to be about, I'm going to pick back up the remix in a major global conflict. Could the U.S. lose it all? And I say yes. And how? And here is how this could happen. So before we do that, real quick, there was an article that I first started with from Venezuela condemning the U.S. thinking about trying to send in the Marines down to Venezuela. Oops. And so real quick, I got that article posted up real quick. I just want to go over just a little of it for you to hear this. Venezuela scoffed at the U.S. Tuesday for trying to forge a regional plan to address its raging crisis, says the only way to make it comply was to send in the Marines. Let me move this down. The contact group you're proposing is completely useless and unnecessary. Venezuelan Foreign Ministry, Ms. Rodriguez, fumed at the meeting of the Organization of American States in Cancun, Mexico. And basically, Foreign Ministry Rodriguez lashed out at countries that supported a U.S.-backed regional plan to address its raging crisis. They're basically saying Venezuela will have to deal with it itself. Come here if you dare. But the article goes on. The only way you can impose would be sending your Marines, who would be met with a crushing response from Venezuelans if they dared make such a misstep. And I would say she knows history, and she's absolutely right. And this is why she said it on those terms. The outburst came as U.S. Deputy Secretary John Sullivan, celebrity figurehead John Sullivan, tried to rally support for an OAS resolution to send regional mediators to Venezuela. And this is how the U.S. has coups. This is how the CIA invokes coups. This is how they put in their puppet choices. This is how they influence elections. This is how they affect subjugation in overall asset enslavement. The article goes on. Sullivan tried to rally support for an OAS resolution to send regional mediators to Venezuela, where running street battles at anti-government protests have left 74 people dead since April. Sullivan responded to Rodriguez, who called him the boss, with a 3-word rebuttal: distraction, distortion, irrelevance. Meaning it's already done. I didn't read that part of it. Meaning they already have done it in an indirect way, which we already know. The drafted resolution by the United States fell 3 short shy of the 23 it needed to be adopted by the 34-nation group. Let me tell you, of all of these organizations throughout the world that are starting to come together, all of the ones that the U.S. are in are falling completely apart. OAS, Organization of American States, is falling apart now. That was a crushing blow for that. That organization will probably not be together anymore. And why? Because it is the overall, it's the puppet of the overall U.S. government's will. And so while the rest of the world are aligning themselves, this is why you'll see Venezuela will be running towards Russia and China. This is why you'll see Mexico do it. This is why you'll see a bunch of other countries do it. This is a part of the overall war, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be taking place. And so there's a little more to the article. If you'd like to read it, check it out. I don't want to get too far off task today, so let's jump into today's show. Today's show, I really want to take a look at take a look at significant countries that are moving towards this global war. And we're going to first start with Russia. And you'll see, and as I said on Tuesday, that all of these nations are starting to align themselves with each other and having because of the common denominator of the U.S. being the tyrannical nation, the rogue nation that needs to be brought into contempt and needs to be held for contempt and needs to be properly adjudicated with. And that only way that they're going to do that is by war. And that's what they are all aligning to do. And so what I want to do is take a look at these countries. If the U.S. went to war with just one of them, but in actuality, the U.S. is going to go to war with many of them, and they're not going to have any allies. They are going to, even their allies, such as Israel, is going to have to flip. All of the allies will have, Japan will lead, and they will be standing alone. And so I want to take a look at this, but if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. So here we go. Now, what I first want to do, let me pull this one up. We all know that there's different, and we're going to look at Russia first. And each country has some of its own dynamics, its own capabilities. And what I want to look at with Russia, one of the things I want to look at is I'm going to play a quick video for you, it's like 2 minutes long, about cyber attack. The U.S. and Russia already engaged in a cyber war, okay? And so this one, I got this one from Business Insider. It's really, really short. Let me just cue this baby up, and then we're going to jump in. What would a war with Russia look like? Okay? And I want to lay out that so you can kind of get an idea, because it's starting to come into fruition. But before I do that, almost forgot, before I engage in that, before I can even engage in that, let me stop. I've been trying to verify, and today I was kind of busy and kind of distracted on some things. And there may have been a very significant event that happened in the Mediterranean yesterday. And I'm still trying to see if that's true. But either way it goes, I'm still going to tell you about it, because the possibilities of it being true is very, very plausible and possible. So what I'm speaking of is that yesterday there was a report that I was not able to verify, but I will give this website. It's the Russian. Man, I hate when they don't break these things. The Russian Philly.com. I think .org. Okay. So on this, and it's a Russian news now, and it says the latest Russian news from non-mainstream sources. So I don't know how credible they are, but still, all in all, it's some of the things that's here, and this is worth sharing with you all. And as a U.S. EQ-4, a Global Hawk drone, shot down by Russian S-300 over the Mediterranean Sea near Syria. So this was done yesterday. And so in that, on this, this overall drone is not like your drone that people have that you've seen before. The E4, the QE4 is huge. I mean, is absolutely huge. It's as big as a plane itself. So let me give you some of the dimensions of it, so that you can see how just some of it. Okay, so a QE4 is known as a Global Hawk. It's as big as a regular plane. So let me give you some information on it. Okay, so, well, let me read this article to you, first of all. Let's jump there. Within the past few minutes, Russia in Syria fired an S-300 surface-to-air missile based out of Taurus, Syria, westward out into the Mediterranean. That's one of the only seaward bases that Russia has in the world. Not like the U.S., got a bunch of them. The S-300 is one of the most fearsome, accurate, and deadly intercept missiles in the world. It does not miss. No word yet on what has been shot down. Okay, that was it. Then the Pentagon confirmed the U.S. aircraft carrier USS George H.W. Bush is operating in the Mediterranean, has aircraft which are airborne conducting flight operations. No indication at all if the Bush or any of its planes were the target for the missile launch. Still no word about what was fired upon or shot down. Checking sources. Update. Reports are now coming in that a U.S. Air Force EQ-4 Global Hawk drone was shot down over the Mediterranean Sea off the coast of Syria by a Russian S-300 surface-to-air missile fired from inside of Syria. I contacted Pentagon press office after hours of phone call via text message to seek their comments for the story, but they did not reply. The QE-4 has a wingspan of more than 130 feet, roughly the same as a 737 airliner. So the 737 airliner that's common in flying around, that's how big this thing is. It is the U.S. Air Force's largest drone. The Air Force has more than 30 RQ-4 surveillance drones, but only 3 EQ-4 fitted with Northrop Grumman's Battle Airborne Communications nod. It is a high-altitude airborne communication information gateway system that mainstream operators communicate with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's what this is used for. All right. So now all of the E-4 aircrafts were assigned to the 368 Air Expeditionary Wing based out of United Arab Emirates. Okay. So let me just see, is there anything else? Okay. So here we go. If this information that Russia has shot down a EQ-4 Globehawk is accurate, then the U.S. troops operating on the ground with Syrian rebels will no longer be able to instantaneously talk to nearby air support, as was done a few days ago when the U.S. FA-18 was called in to attack and destroy a Syrian Arab Army Air Force jet. This type of shoot-down would severely hamper the U.S. future operations abilities in Syria because there are only a total of 3 existing EQ-4s outfitted. One RQ-4 with that same system, it would cost about $20 million. Such a shoot-down by Russia would be a pricey retaliation over the U.S. shooting down of the Syrian jet without cause. The U.S. feels the need to avenge anything like a pilot. As shown below, the Globehawk is a miniature of $130 million with RD, and the unit cost to be as high as $22 million with its advanced technology that's there. So this one is also used for mapping, communications, target acquisition, and surveillance. And I definitely could see a S-300 taking that thing out very, very easily. So I haven't confirmed that. And if it is true, it's just another escalation. And I wouldn't be surprised now. But why is this so effective and so important? Now this prevents the U.S. from having very, very important strategical information, battlefield information, but they still could get it from their satellites. But remember, China and Russia could take our satellites now.
Hey, Dave.
So this is what happens when you step up into the real world. Yeah, go ahead, Scotty.
I don't see any other logical response that Russia could give. I mean, after the news you reported, after a U.S. fighter jet pretty much buzzed a Russian diplomat and a high official as he was flying in the Mediterranean. And you reported yesterday how that Russian fighter jet came up behind that you. So they have been harassing. Well, actually what's going on here is just the overthrow, regime change in Syria. That's what it's all about. Right. And as you was talking about what they won't be able to do by taking out this drone is coordinate and help their terrorists. They shot their Syrian plane down who was bombing ISIS. And they can call them rebels. Right. The U.S. media can call them rebels and all that. Man, it's long been reported that these groups are intermingled. There's no such thing as no moderate radicals out there on that. You know what I'm saying? That's an oxymoron, moderate radicals. You know what I'm saying? Man, come on. So anyway, man, I don't see what other response could Russia give. You know what I'm saying? This is like even school.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's break it down to simple schoolyard bullying. You know what I'm saying? The United States then dropped their largest so-called bomb out, that was non-nuclear, which took out Russian airplanes, all right? And then the other stuff I talked about that you reported on, harassing one of their officials in the air, and all of these aggressive moves and shooting down their allies.
The defense minister of defense.
Man, come on. So what other response could Russia give and save face if they don't stand up to the bully? And I'm sure people going to keep trying to portray this as the U.S. versus the Russia. But as you mentioned, China's there, Iran's there. I think you've reported on some stuff that has been going on. I believe that was the Gulf of Hormuz, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, right off of the Iranian waters. So, man, this can blow up at any time. Again, these people, whether they the puppets or the shadow government, and these people, in the banking and holding up this system of slavery, they don't care about your sons and daughters in the military. They ain't care about whether or not if I got killed when I was in Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War. What did Kissinger say? You remember what he said about military men. So that's how they all operate.
Our dogs. And you know what, Scotty, and this is really, really significant. And not only, but this is and real quick, Scotty, if you just would elaborate on this, let me just, what Scotty was talking about, there was I posted it yesterday where the defense minister of Russia was flying over the Baltic, and there was a NATO F-16 that went to intercept it. And what happened was the Russians already had that plane being escorted, and the F-16 knew that other Russian plane was there, or maybe he didn't know, and so he tried to come up on the plane that was carrying the Russian defense minister, because he was going to an event in the Baltic, and Russia had their Su-27 come up. And I put that video inside of BTR yesterday, the YouTube video, real quick video. You get to see how this Su-27 comes right behind, so that the pilot of the F-16 could actually see the Su. He knew it was there, radar. He knew it was on radar, but he was able to physically see. And what this Su-27 did was he rolled on his belly just a little, so that F-16 could see that 27 was armed. And what was that a signal of? My next move is to shoot you down. And what did that F-16 do? It peeled out right away and left, because it can't defend itself against that Su-27 at all. And he knew he was done.
Hey,
so
Dave,
these things are really, really happening.
Let's take the break early. You got some callers on the board, and I will also just add this last thing on it, and we'll go to break. Is they just really what
Scotty,
did you say it was?
Scotty, I want you, when we come out of the break, tell the importance of communications. How important is this? Was a more effective strategical move than what the U.S. has done to Russia completely, and to not to Syria, but to Russia. Man, communications is, I'm afraid our troops are going to get caught over there and not be able to get back. So we're getting ready to go to a commercial break. You're listening to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Not our troops in that thing, but our troops as far as our children and our extensions of our family members and our community being there. That's what I mean. So we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
2008, the Black Talk Media Project launched the digital radio platform Black Talk Radio Network, the first such platform created to serve the black community specifically. Black Talk Radio Network has grown with a variety of radio hosts, digital radio stations, and podcasters. Web analytics say Black Talk Radio, the platform, has an online reach that ranks it among the top independent black media platforms in the world. All of this is possible because of financial contributions to the nonprofit Black Talk Media Project. If you love the work we do and the voices and perspectives we bring to you every day, make a donation today to ensure that Black Talk Radio is here in the future. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025. We got a caller in queue. 1 second, caller. I'm going to come right to you. I just wanted, Scotty, just to elaborate the importance of communications and coordination on the battlefield from his expertise.
It's not
and
really.
This was a very, very important strategical move by. And this is going to play into the future engagements that Russia and the U.S. is going to have, because they won't have that EQ4. Go ahead, Scotty.
Okay, I'm gonna lay it out simple, and then I'm gonna get into more of the complexities, which is really not complex, but. I mean, just think about, let's say you was playing paint gun wars or whatever, blue versus red, and you all got headsets and could communicate with each other over, let's say, a 30-mile area. It's only 10 of you. So that's a lot of ground to cover and coordinate an attack or finding or whatever. And it's a lot easier when you have communications and you can talk to each other, where you can gather intel and get a wider picture to the individual of what's going on. Now, if you knock out those communications, then what? Everybody is out there blind, right? They out there,
right.
Yeah. And so then you had to revert to your skills of again, being able to read a map and all of that kind of stuff and like that, because now you ain't got no communications. But during the Gulf War, I was part of the largest, we built the largest tactical communication network just outside of Iraq. And then we had a bunch of mobile units too, like microwave trucks, where, these are trucks that have switchboards and stuff in them, but it's beaming it to the satellite. So you ain't got that in Syria. That's the difference between the Gulf War and what's going on in Syria. You don't really have no access to no ground surrounding Syria outside of Israel. You know what I'm saying? And they've been trying to keep that on the down low, Israel's involvement in that. So the best way that you can gather intel on the battlefield to relay it to your ground troops. Now, remember, the U.S. only has embedded troops, in there. They got some people in there, and they're illegally there. Again, for those that want to talk about law and order, the UN has not had a Security Council vote, which would go nowhere because Russia has a permanent seat on the Security Council. So the sitting government with a seat on the UN, not on the Security Council, but a member UN government, which is the Assad government, is a member of the UN. All right. And so now you had the United States actually attacking. I mean, people talk about acts of war. It's already a war. It's an illegal war.
Yep.
And so the only way they are able to gather that intel to relay to any U.S. elements embedded helping terrorist organizations, and I'm not even going to get into all that documentation, but it's to get it from the air. So, like, for example, how I mentioned we use satellite trucks with switchboards, and you just set up a network, man, and they just relay signals. You know what I'm saying? You just relaying signals.
Yep.
So all that plane was doing was relaying signals and allowing people on the ground to be able to communicate, since we ain't got no ground network, in Syria. So the last thing I'll say is, what did you call those anti-aircraft missiles that they got? The SU what, 300 or what?
The S-300.
They been
stationed.
They been got those stationed all over Syria. They just ain't had them turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And if they turn them things, if this a sign, if this report is true, and it's a sign they didn't turn those on, you can forget about any kind of American air, intrusion in the Syrian airspace. So I'll leave it with that.
Right. Scotty, you absolutely right. And see, the importance in what Scotty is saying is that if you got your troops there, and let's say you run into and you need to get an evac or you need to get air support, you ain't gonna have no communications to call that in. And if you do, they'll be able to cross triangulate you because you'll be doing about likely ways that they can actually intercept it. Oh man, this is so huge, and it has everything to do with going forward. Now the U.S. won't have that in the future battles with China and with Russia. That is a huge engagement. That plane is actually an expendable item for combat, because it was a Syrian plane, an expendable item. Syria can't beat the U.S., but Russia with everybody else can. And so now, what did they lose? Syria lost the plane. The U.S. lost momentum, complete momentum. Now they scared. As Scotty said, once they turned their S-300s on, and they got the S-600s, and those S-600s are in Russia. Some S-400s, I believe, are actually in parts of Syria and maybe even in Iran. And so this thing is really, really big. So I just wanted to play that out to you. So we got another caller in queue. We want to go to this caller. Caller, area code 717. And what is your name, where you're calling from, and what is your question and comment? Sorry you waited so long, but I'm glad to have you here. What is your question or comment, and what is your name?
Hey, this is Brother Davis, man. I'm calling from Virginia.
That's what I thought. I wasn't too sure. Hey, Brother Davis, what's going on? Now, Brother Davis, you know the importance of communication. I know you wanted to call for but if you were just to elaborate a little bit more, especially from your days in the military, from recon, you can't have any recon without communications.
Well, you can't. And the reason why you can't is because you can't articulate your position or your enemy's position. You're actually in the blind. That's why they have groups like recon. But in reality, what I want you to also see is behind the scenes, there's a lot of alienation going on. And this is a perfect time for there to be alienation on the national front and alienation on the political front. Why? These world leaders don't like Trump, and they're not biting their tongue about telling you. We have a greater problem. Our problems are only going to get worse. But I tell you, when you really got to sit back and say, what next, is when they start building alliances on a closer and open scale with Canada and Mexico.
Because
they've already started this. Now, what that means is that as they begin to alienate, they begin to strategically put us in a place of isolation. All these other countries that were our allies at one time spoke it boldly are not speaking it now. And if you look at how the dynamics of the technological advancements are taking place, there are strategic countries right now in Europe that are totally focusing on renewable energies. There's a reason for that. Believe me, don't think that Russia or these other countries are not focusing on that. The paradigm, the financial paradigm that really wants to be able to be the bully, but yet stand out of the realm of your description. What does that mean? They want to control the narrative so that you will believe what they say is going on in spite of what they're doing. And that's really old textbook Rothschild's family financing. That's real old textbook stuff where they set up a war to appear to be, it's like a rebellion, but it's not a rebellion. It's them coming in and trying to take a takeover for corporate control. And in every situation, you've seen it. You've seen it in Libya. You've seen it in Iran. You've seen it in all of the major countries the United States invaded for what they call the liberation of the people. Well, how many times are you going to let this government control the narrative and you believe the story? And see, I tried to get you to understand last night that we are being bombarded with a plethora of propaganda, radiation, and the dumbing down of the American community so that this can take place. But in reality, they're burning the lamp on 5N. So sooner or later, something's going to give. And I think that the first real leg of that is going to show when the dollar drops. Why do I say it's going to show when the dollar drops? There is going to be no greater vulnerability there will be no greater sign of American vulnerability to the world than that. You see what I'm saying? So we have to look at this here from the standpoint of how strategically this is being done, and not like it's only being done for one purpose. No, there's a multiplicity of purposes going on here. I just wanted to add that, Dave. Excellent show as usual, brother.
Brother Davis, well said, always, as always, and absolutely, yes. What you see is the closing in, and this is why Venezuela is so important. That was intentionally done, the destabilization. And now what happened with Panama? And we played this for you with Panama on Tuesday when the Panamanian president said, yeah, that was 100 years ago, talking about Trump when they built – that was 100 years ago. But lo and behold, the week before we said we had in what's in the news how Panama had secured ties with China, and they've been moving in that direction for the past 25 years, really. Or 15 years. Sorry, in the last 15 years. And this is what Brother Davis is talking. It's closing in. It's closing in and closing in, and this is why this is much more than what it appears, and it's going to be something that we all will be one day. Those that are not aware of what's going on, they will be made aware of the overall tooling from this, because they're going to ratchet everything up, and it's going to be a shock for most people. And this is why I thank you, Brother Davis, for yesterday. Great show, and just your input today, Scotty, phenomenal, so true. And this is why this network is so important, because I think it gives you some real choices and some things to be thinking about so that you can have a question and start questioning. Very, very important. And what the brother said, we're absolutely right. We are going through the closing in, and I firmly, and we all look at these things and we kind of decipher them the same as was said, as Brother Davis said, it's really how these governments start to all of a sudden become more practical in their overall everyday, agreements. And then that practicality is going to be where it's interest, and then that interest is to where it's sovereign interest. And this is where you're going to start to see where they're going to put the U.S. into contempt and have a decision to make. When you make the biggest Navy, the largest blue Navy in the world, in contempt, that means that you're going to go to war with them, and they won't have a problem with it. And this is what's unfolding. So great point. So I want to jump to real quick in today's show. I want to play this for you really quickly, and this comes from a Business Insider, and it says that we are already in cyber war with Russia. A former Marine cyber warrior explains. Let me play this for you. Very, very good. Here we go. 1 second.
The truth of the matter is we already are in a cyber war. Hacking, especially when it comes to different countries, is nothing new. The United States hacks Russia, Russia hacks the United States, we hack China, China hacks us. It's literally a game where we don't want to impact them because they can impact us and vice versa. So in the event that, let's just say, Russia decides to launch a cyber attack directly that impacts our economy or our power grid or our water treatment facilities, things that we rely down from core day-to-day life. We have the exact same footholds into their environment. We can do the exact same thing. So right now it's really a pain game on who wants to withstand the most amount of pain and who has the most capability. So everybody's scared of each other. And that's why there was a lot of concern during the election cycle where President Obama, John McCain, and a lot of others were declaring the cyber attack an act of war. There's a lot of things that we do as well that could be considered an act of war against other countries that we do offensive on. So right now it's a very muddy water because we don't know what classifies a cyber war or what would cause an act of war. Right now there's no definition of that happening, and there's no discussion on it either. What Russia's attempting to do now is establish themselves as a key player for non-U.S. allies that you can go to in order to conduct operations or to have military backing to provide protection. We've seen stronger ties with China and Russia over the past few years growing. Obviously, Iran and Russia have a significant strength when it comes to that. So this is Russia's establishing dominance in order to be able to be more integrated into the world economy and be a player when it comes to being able to compete with the United States and its allies. In the military, we have this term we call PSYOPs, and the purpose of it is to change public opinion to help benefit your country in some way, shape, or form. And so we saw a lot of that starting to happen with Crimea. In Ukraine. We also saw a lot of it where Russia was launching very overt and direct offensives against the United States. There was an incident where they shut down the Pentagon for 2 weeks, had to completely come in and reinstall all their systems and put new computer systems in. But really where it got amplified was during the DNC piece of it, where they really started doing a lot of misinformation campaigns around news that wasn't real, but it was stemming from fake information that was being put out there to sway public opinion. They were going after the Democratic National Committee and hacking their server infrastructure in order to expose information from John Podesta as well as donor information. And there's actually been little to no slowing down of Russia being extremely overt when it comes to the cyber stuff. And you're even seeing it on the military side. I mean, they're flying by our fighters. They're stationing outside of our waters. There's a lot of aggression happening to establish dominance. A victory in the cyber war would probably look like the other country tapping out and raising the white flag and basically crippling their IT infrastructure, going after their intelligence gaining purposes and their ability to go after us and defending at the same time we're going on the offense. So basically shutting down their capabilities.
Okay, so real quickly, this is the start of the Russian part of it all. He said a couple of things. So a couple of things, a lot of things I didn't, some things I definitely didn't agree with. And I will definitely, share some of those with you. One thing is that bring the pain for between who is going to be the ones that are going to be adversely affected. Who are going to be the ones to be the brunt, to be the bearer of that pain. It's not those overall governments. It's you, the people, because that's who this is what's being targeted. They cut the lights out, disrupt the overall economies and everything. Who does that affect? It doesn't affect Washington or Moscow. It affects you. It affects you. So who's really at war? They're really preying on you. You're not at most people don't. 99% of the casualties of war are innocent civilians that had nothing to do with it. The actual ones that declare war never get hurt because they're never in the engagement. But you are, as an everyday citizen, because it's not a war. They're on the hunt. You're the prey. You're being stalked. Being stalked for the purpose of control, subjugation, and surrenderance. And that is with the real pain, because that's who's going to be adversely affected by it. This is why we don't want you to be in that classification. Next, all of this is, like I said, is one big fraternity invoking its will to get what it wants. And it always gets it because those that it's waging its overall attack against don't even realize that they're being attacked, so they never develop any meaningful defenses, or they never not participate. We maintain our as participants in this and on the adverse side. So this is where we got to really start to come together and to decide collectively what is the most appropriate thing for the preying and the hunting that is being carried out by corporations, organizations, and those that you haven't seen their faces, but you've never known their overall energy influence because it's been adversely affecting you since you've been here, and you know that. So that's really what it is. But from the standpoint of this cyber thing, one of the things that was important, was crucial, was that this whole thing of destroying the ability to respond. And this is why that overall EQ4 was such a devastating loss, because you only have 2 more of them now. And where are you going to hide them? This is critical. So I want to jump into some of just for those of you that, what would a war with Russia look like? Well, we just saw a little bit of it there in that site, because it definitely will be cyber, where the overall grid and infrastructure, the digital infrastructure will be taken off a line, which will also take the necessities of life that we've become accustomed to, the water, the just-in-time delivery system, so many things, medication, fuel, everything will be disrupted. And in that disruption, this is where, when we get to that point, and they're going to get to that point, when they get to that point of disruption, those that have not been preparing for it or are unaware of it will not have they won't know why it happened and won't have a clue of what to do now it has happened. And so these blackouts is just the test runs of everything. You saw where they knocked the Pentagon down for two weeks and everything else of what they said. Who knows if that's really true? You don't really know, because every time, this is a psyops. Every time that they talk is a lie for the purpose and the objective. The thing is that you have to be able to pull out the pieces of truths and to realize that, one of the things that I was told is so true. And if someone shows you who they are, maybe you should start believing them. And this system has always shown itself to be liars, destroyers, not promise keepers, but family breakers and enslavers. When are we going to start believing it? When are we really going to start believing it? And seeing that they are exactly who they say they are. Anyone that needs to be playing these types of games cannot be trusted, is not capable of having any measure of trust that you should be bestowing on them at all, because it's a psyops. They're playing with your mind. So very, very important. So what I want to do, and if you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. And really quickly, okay, that was everything there. All right, so now what I want to do now is I want to take a look at, from a military standpoint, of what we know in this sphere. Oh, and Scotty said, I just saw that the Russians didn't hack the DNC. Thank you, Scotty. Exactly. He is pushing the DNC Clinton propaganda. Exactly. The DNC and emails were leaked by an anonymous whistleblower who they killed. Podesta's dumb butt got hacked using weak passwords on Google. Exactly. Purposely done. So true. Right. And all of that, pretty much everything that, as I was saying, we were saying in there was, I didn't want to stop it, though, and say what it was, but I know that you all have been listening to Thando Radio Show and Black Talk Radio Network. You know that they're lying because you can hear them. They resonate, and you know it's a falsehood. So what I want to do is let's take a look at it from the standpoint of the traditional military. What would a war with Russia look like? And give you an idea of what that would be and how it could play itself out. So before we do that, what I want to do, let me pull this up real quickly. Bear with me. I want to pull up in the I read this on Tuesday, the top 10 militaries in the country, in the world. They say number one is the United States. I don't think that that's true anymore. But from an individual standpoint, individual country may still have some remnants of holding on there. Yes. Number 2, Russia. Number 3, China. India is number 4. France, number 5. UK is number 6. Japan is number 7. Turkey is number 8. Germany is number 9. And Italy is number 10. Okay, so let's look at Russia militarily real quickly. Look at just some of the things that they have. And then we're going to go into how a war with Russia would go about. Okay, and I got this from the 2017 Russian military. This is globalfirepower.com. Each military power details on globalfirepower.com is judged on an individual as a collective factors when it comes to waging a prolonged campaign against another. The numbers are calculated through an in-house formula to produce value, which is used in final ranking. Okay, so they just given a disclosure. All right, so let's take a look at Russia. Russia is currently ranked number 2 of 131 countries considered for its annual GFP review, and that's the Global Firepower Review. Number 1, manpower. Going beyond military equipment totals and perceptive fighting strength is actually manpower that drives a given military force. Wars are of attrition, traditionally favor those with more manpower to give an effort. And I would just say this, so let's go over that. But let's say this real quick. Let me just say this about Russian manpower. Their total population for Russia is 142 million people. It's a very, very large country, but it doesn't have a dense population because it's so big and so vast, and there's a lot of inhabitable places in Russia. And that definitely serves to an advantage in a lot of ways. Russia is almost similar to China, is almost impenetrable to being invaded. No one has invaded Russia to this day, and I doubt that they ever will be able to invade Russia from a standpoint of boots on the ground. Impossible. All right, goes on. Manpower available, 70 million. Fit for service, 47 million. Reaching military age, 1.3 million. Total military personnel, 3.2 million. Active personnel, 760,000. Reserve is 2.4 million. All right, now let me just give you this about Russia. Russia manpower. Russia doesn't have a traditional military army. What happens is that as elite groups get all of the best equipment, is other units that, they are just like there for drinking parties. But they're not as highly trained as the elite units. So there is a huge disadvantage that way. But one thing about the Russian people is that they're hardy people, okay? They got men there. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. So that is something to know. That is a disadvantage of the its elite units are very, very well, but they're not as vast in their overall military strength, and their reserve strength is 2.4 million. And those reserve individuals, they classify somebody's breathing. Okay, he's in the reserves. So that's just one of the truths. But still, on a campaign, if the U.S. had to fight Russia manpower-wise, Russia would not have any advantage there, would actually be in the U.S. But a force multiplier would switch that. And that would definitely, in my opinion, start to change if U.S. and Russia would go to war, because the Russians would sober up pretty darn quick. The U.S. would have a problem getting rid of heels off of men's toes to get ready. That'd be a challenge. That would be a real challenge. That's just the truth, and y'all know it's the truth. It's you. So let me move on. It's my show. I can say that. So all right. So that's it with Russian manpower. Next one, air power. Air power includes both fixed wings and rotary wing helicopters, aircraft from all branches of the Air Force, Navy, Army. Air power is just one important component of modern attacks. So this is what they put everything else. So aircraft, air power. Here's what Russia's air power totals are. And after this, we're going to go to the commercial break. Total aircraft strength is 3,000, roughly short of 4,000. Fighting aircraft is 806. Attack aircraft is 1,400, that being helicopters and everything else. Transport is 1,100. Training aircraft is 387. Total helicopter strength is 1,300, and attack helicopters is just short of 500. So when we come back, we're going to take a look at this and then start this overall scenario. Well, what would a war with Russia look like? You're listening to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025, 866-510-9025. And we will definitely see you in queue, and we'll definitely bring you up. You're listening to Thando Radio Show. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Podcasts and live program scheduling, visit us on the web at blacktalkradionetwork.com.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to Thando Radio Show, brought to you by Black Talk Radio Network. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, give us a call, 866-510-9025. And hit star. I'm not on the board, so you would have to just say, excuse me, because I don't see you, because I'm actually reading this, so I wouldn't be able to see you on the board. Okay, so we were looking at air power. So air power, from what Russia has as its fighting aircraft, some of it is some of the best in the world, but it's just very limited in what it has. One thing is that they don't have the overall air power that the U.S. has. So they're good, and once again, they're good in small units, but there's very few of them. But their overall attack helicopters are very, 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 very good, and they are used effectively. But that's, some of the shortcomings there, and that's some of the good things. That's some of the advantages that they have. All right, Army strength. This includes tank value includes main battle tanks, MBTs, light tanks, few remain in service, as well as those vehicles considered tank destroyers. There's no distinction made between all-wheeled and tracked vehicles for this, okay? And then armored personnel carriers. So here is their Army strength. Army strength, combat tanks is 20,000. Basically, they have their tanks really to defend Russia. Their military is meant to hold off engagements so that other things can be done, and to minimize and to slow down the overall aggression of the U.S., because that's who they really have built their military for. Momentarily, while they're able to appropriately respond in a tactical way, a.k.a. nukes, where they would even out the playing field. So, okay, so combat tanks, 20,000. Armored fighter vehicles, 31,000. Self-propelled artillery, 6,000. Towed artilleries, short of 5,000. Rocket projectiles, just short of 4,000. Okay, so that's their Army strength. So, but what I want to say really quickly about that is that we also have to consider that the army of, even though they're smaller, that actually gives a lot of advantages because they could drop their people off in certain places and they will be dropped off. Russia has the ability to galvanize their forces much, much more than the U.S. Let me tell you one of the things that what will happen in the U.S. When you start meeting up against some real confrontation, the U.S. is already, there's already the cancer that already lives within. One of the things how you can actually demoralize the U.S. military is by its overall race relations in itself. And excuse me, hold on. This is one of the strategical reasons why Russia today put itself in the U.S. to bring about propaganda and things that they wanted to expose. Because they know at the appropriate time they're going to use that. And believe me, they will be using that. You don't have that problem in the Russian military. That is a huge advantage. Just think about when things get real hot and heavy, and then propaganda hits you about what's going on at home, about what's been happening forever. It totally demoralizes. And it is an effective tool, one of the intangibles that never, ever gets spoken of. Very easy for the other countries to do that to the U.S. Very few countries that the U.S. can use that against them. And believe me, they're definitely going to use it. They're going to pay for it. They're going to massage it. They're going to nurture it. Some of that was in Mel's question on Tuesday, if y'all remember Mel's question. All right, so let me get back to this. Next one, naval strength. How much time? Okay, naval strength. This is naval aircraft carriers, which value both traditionally aircraft carriers as well as helicopter carriers, warships, cruisers, no longer tracked due to the declined value on the world stage. Submarines values includes both diesel, electrical, and nuclear power. Total naval assets is a simple sum of the previous naval ship categories. Now, this is where we're going to go with the naval. Now, naval-wise, total naval assets is 352. They have a very, very small. They have a very, very small Navy. They have one aircraft carrier, one. The U.S. has what, 11 now? Because they're making one that don't work. 11? Why does the U.S. have 11? Because you have to colonize as many nations as you possibly can. That's why you got to have them in constant rotation and keep the overall pimp hand down. So that's why. Russia doesn't do that. The other nations of the world don't do that. The U.S. is the only one with all those aircraft carriers for one reason and one reason only, to engage and destabilize. So, in the colonize, one aircraft carrier, 6 frigates, 15 destroyers, 8 corvettes, 63 submarines, and some of their submarines are some of the best in the world. Patrol crafts and mine warfare vessels. So they have a very, very small Navy. Natural resources, petroleum. Now, Russia has a large amount of that. As much as any weapon system is vital to ongoing military campaigns, in wars, it still relied on availability of natural resources, namely petroleum, because you're going to have to be able to what? You're going to have to be able to supply your efforts. And in the future, U.S. is going to have problems with that. All right, so here we go. Was that 10 million barrels per day? Consumption, 3 million barrels per day. Proven reserves is a bunch. They got a lot. Is 80 with a bunch of daggone zeros, all right? There's a bunch of zeros behind that. Okay, logisticals, but we got a caller in queue. I want to go to that caller real quickly. And as you can see, this is going to – but I want to lay all this out so you'll know what we're dealing with here. So let me get to this caller that's in queue. Welcome, caller, to Thando Radio Show. What is your name and where are you calling from, and what is your question or comment? I think that's my man, Jerry. It's got a chipmunk voice, Jerry. I couldn't hear you, brother.
I thought that sounded like a small dog or something.
Yeah, you're in the bad reception zone, Jerry.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we got you good. Loud and clear, bro. What's going on, Jerry?
That was not me, but I did. That wasn't me with the chipmunk thing. I heard that too. But,
you heard it? Okay, sorry about it. Yeah, I was on the other page. I couldn't see it, but go ahead, brother.
First and foremost, how you doing, Brother Dave? How you doing,
What's up, brother?
Brother Davis had a fire show last night. I had to catch up on it because I was studying for myself. But yeah, he always come with the truth, man. And he need to do a class. I'm not sure if I can afford it, but he most definitely needs to do one. But
brother Davis definitely does.
I was wanting to revert back a little bit when y'all were talking about the communications, and then you hit on the point that I was gonna hit on with the race relations. When I was in the Navy, man, I was a machinist mate. For those of you who don't know what a machinist mate is, it's a boiler tech. We maintain the boilers, hot water, cold water for the showers and what have you, and we also do the HVAC systems on the ships. Well, I 2 of our bilge pump fires got caught on fire one time.
Wait, Jerry. Jerry, tell everybody, a fire on a ship. What is the urgency of a fire on a ship?
Well, it depends on the person, because one of the urgencies is to get away from that area as quickly as possible. With me being a machinist mate, I work at the hull of the ship, so I am below everything. And for the people who actually have to put the fires out, you either put the fires out or you burn alive. I mean, It's really just that simple. What happened is that I had a senior chief, and I had a senior chief, and I had a master chief, and they left me and another. I think I was a E3 at the time, and I had a first class petty officer. Both of us was black. The senior chief and the master chief was white. They left us. They didn't tell us that the fires had started or what have you, because it's always something burning. Because we work with boilers. I wasn't on no nuclear ship, so we dealt with actually steam propelled boats. And they left us down there, locked the manholes. Because that's
meaning
the
Jerry couldn't get out.
Right, because you can't. Yeah, I mean, it's some type of ways that you can get out, but when you're in a situation like that, you're not thinking about all of the slick stuff that you can do. You go for the initial protocol, and then you start thinking after that. But sometimes that could leave you dead. So these guys, man, they locked the manhole after they got out, and then I don't know what they did. They could have called somebody, probably didn't. As far as I'm concerned, they didn't do anything. They didn't do enough. But me and the first class petty officer, we put the 2 fires out. But the whole point is that these dudes left us, like no warning. Didn't tell us that it was sparking going on, because like I said, when you're down there with the boilers, the fires are raging. It's always a smoke smell, so that's nothing uncommon. So with the race relations point, that's a big factor, because this senior chief and this master chief, they didn't have no problems with us as far as we know, and we all young. I think I was 19 at the time. The first class petty officer was like 22. So we knew to watch them just because they were white people, because he was from Houston, I was from Chattanooga where I'm at, so we done had these relations before. But they left us, man. They just dipped on us, no warning, no nothing. So that's a big part of it. And when we're talking about communications, it's not always through a digital form or on the radio. It could just be word of mouth. Because we were all in the same earshot of each other, and we didn't hear nothing. That's actually what caught our attention, is that everything went quiet. We was talking, and then we didn't hear nothing in the background. That's what got our attention. So that's a very, very big point that we have to take account into. And that's I just wanted to share that piece of a story. I heard y'all talking about y'all military experience, and that's something that I'll never forget. I actually got Fireman of the Year when I put those 2 bilge pumps out, because although the people up top would have been okay, they would have had to evacuate the ship if the boilers would have blew up, because the bilge pumps, what they would have done is they would have backed up the pressure into the boiler, and it would have exploded, blowing a hole in the side of the ship, and it would have sunk. So that's a very, very
That's
big
what I
point
mean
with
about
the
a fire on a ship. The importance of a fire on a ship. It's got to be put out, because ain't nowhere to run.
No,
you got to put it out.
In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, sharks all around. Yeah, it's over. But I just wanted to share that point about the communications part, because it's not always. We hear all the time about these white guys shooting these black guys in the back with this friendly fire and all of this. It don't always come in bullets. We got to keep that in mind.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm going to put myself on mute. I see you running out of time. So thank you for taking my call, Dave. Peace.
No, great point. And that is exactly what I was and so that, and believe me, that is some of the intangible weapons that will be used. It was used in all, but this next time is going to be even more effective to where, let me tell you something, what I actually can, there will be some inciting of some things as well as we move closer to destabilize everything. Unstable fighting force is hampered and unable to appropriately respond to any tactical situation. So that's what the overall agenda is. So definitely, and listen, sorry we ran out of time, but you kind of building this whole thing up because I want you to see the importance of it, and then we're going to put all of this together. We'll do this just once a week until we got this all together, because I really want you to see how effective this will be. And just from what we learned about Russia, you can see that Russia is a very, very small but very formidable military. Their military is extremely formidable. We'll get to the rest of it, and then we'll get to some strategical things and how it could play out in a war. But I will put some of the intangibles that I think that will definitely be a part of this. And so when you'll see it all come together, you will see that it is a no-win situation for the U.S. It is over and done. Kiss the baby, night-night. So just want to say thank you all for listening. Jerry, thank you for calling in. Brother Davis, thank you so much for calling in and sharing what you shared. Scotty, thank you for your share. And for all of you, thank you for you just being you. Next coming up is going to be B.I.B. Black in Business with the golden voice of Miss Cece is going to be there. The golden voice of Black Talk Radio Network. And remember, it's never goodbye. Never, ever, ever goodbye. I never, ever say that word, because we always have to be, in my opinion, have to be careful of what we say. It's always, we'll see you later. Much love and much respect. And remember, before you ask for a fortune, make sure to give one away. And we will talk to you, great creator willing, in the future physically. But if not, always we are here spiritually. Much love, much respect. Brother Bragg, if you would. Chime us out, brother. Sure. Peace, peace.
Peace, peace.
Gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake. We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing cake.
Say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
We're slicing
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold. It's happened before. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announced Iraqi oil would be traded in euros, not dollars. Sanctions and an invasion followed. Some say because the Americans were desperate to prevent OPEC from transferring oil trading in all its member countries to the euro. Not the case in places like Libya and many of the Gulf states. A gold dinar would have given oil-rich African and Middle Eastern countries the power to turn around to their energy-hungry customers and say, sorry, the price has gone up and we want gold.
The United States should welcome the self-determination of Africans. They certainly have denied self-determination to Africans inside the United States, so we're not surprised by anything that the United States would do.
If Gaddafi had an intent to try to reprice his oil or whatever else the country was selling in the global markets and accept something else as a currency, or